Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell. Welcome to Week in Review. This is the show we do here in the Dice Tower where we go through everything that we talked about in the last week, all the videos we've done. We give you summaries of them. It's an index. And then when you're done, as you're watching this, you say, man, I want to know more about Stroganov. Well, we got a link for that game and every other game we talk about in the description below. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, I'm Garcia. Here's what I did last week. So I put out a video talking about the Lord of the Rings revised core set for the card game. And this is not a scored review. I was just talking about what the box includes and how I feel about it now, having gone back to it for my third try. Check that out to see what comes in there and my thoughts as I have evolved and the game has evolved throughout several iterations. And then I reviewed Yosemite, which I gave a 4.5 to. This is a two-player tile collecting game, which really is missing the mark for me. I don't think it looks very good. I think the gameplay is flat, not a lot of evolution happening. And then it feels very swingy as well, though it bills itself as a strategy game. It doesn't feel that way. I reviewed Akropolis, which I gave a 6 to. Tile laying game, this one, in which you are making groups and then sort of building up your various areas to score points. Math galore in this one. There were a few decisions in the design that I was not a big fan of. And the game just, I think, has been done in the past and done more interestingly, done better. This is one that I wouldn't necessarily say no to playing, but it didn't bring anything new and fresh to give me the enjoyment I was looking for, the spark I was interested in. It's okay. And then I reviewed Zillionaires. This one is, I gave it a 7, and this one is a reprint of an older game, the Game of 49 originally called. And this is a good party game-esque bidding game. It's really a bidding game in which you're trying to get 4 of your tokens in a row, and you're bidding for the spots in which to put them. But it's lighthearted, it's silly, it's got some issues, rich get richer, it's got some, less than modern design ideas in it, but the gameplay is fun and silly and even, as rambunctious as it can be for a bidding game. So I enjoy that. And that's it for me. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey, Chris here. This week I took a look at quite a few games, starting with Yosemite, which I gave a 4. Unfortunately, this game is a big miss. I like two-player little games like this, tile-grabbing kind of stuff, but it's not well developed, and it doesn't even look great. The cover looks beautiful, the Beth Sobel art, but then the rest of the art is by Shutterstock, and that kind of is how I feel about this game. Next up, Akropolis. I give a 6. I really enjoy this tile-laying game where you're building tiles up and stuff. The biggest problem is that whenever there's a score multiplier tile out in the lineup, you get it. And that for me is kind of a big flaw. The scoring isn't quite there. Next up was Wormholes. I gave it 6.5. This is another game that is really fun. I really like the innovative, zopping around the board and zoop zoop and flying around. But the scoring is what drags this one down for me. I feel like it's not quite what it should be, and makes it less fun to play at times, where you see other people draw into the right cards and you draw into the wrong ones. Next up, the Stars of Akarios. This is a Gloomhaven-esque inspired game, big epic space exploration and space opera. I think it's a lot of fun. Hours and hours of fun, but there, I think, are too many things in there that could have been trimmed out. There are definitely things that could have been cleaned up, typos and misprints and stuff that actually affect the game enough. So I gave it a 6.5, but a lot of fun. Next up, Explorers. I gave it 7.5. This is a Phil Walker Harding roll and write, flip and write type of a game. I find that this one's very fun. It makes me think of Kingdom Builder, the roll and write type of game. But in all the good ways. I'm a big Kingdom Builder fan. I'm a big fan of this one too. Next up, Stroganov, 7.5. I think that this is a great, heavier, crunchier Euro game that has some flaws with it, and you have to look up some errata and rules clarifications on Board Game Geeks. That kind of hurts the score. I have a lot of fun with it, but I think I'll also max out, cap it at 2 players, in my opinion. Next up, Don't Llama Dice. I gave an 8. I'm really surprised about that. I did not like the original Llama at all. It felt frivolous and there was nothing to it. This one is a completely different game. It's a great push your luck dice game mixed with some cards, multiple avenues of push your luck. I really recommend you try. If you liked the original Llama, great, try this one. If you didn't, I'm telling you, you should try out Don't Llama Dice. And lastly, Outnumbered, a kids' math game that I gave an 8. Yes, it's math. Yeah, it's basically sneaky math homework. It's not even sneaky. It's very front and center. But I really like what Genius Games does. This is a reskin, a reprint of City of Zombies. And I think that this is an awesome way to, as a family, do math and stuff in kind of a practical way. Very fun. Highly recommended. It got an 8 from me. And that's been my week.
Hi, this week I reviewed the game Diamant, a push-your-luck game for 3 to 8 players who have to explore a cave looking for valuable treasures. It is a very exciting game that becomes more and more fun the more players involved, so for that reason I gave this one a solid 8 out of 10. Hope you like it.
All right, this week I took a look at 3 different games. First up was Keystone. I came in at a 4 for this game. This was a huge disappointment to me. The game is absolutely gorgeous. Going into it, the first couple rounds, I was really enjoying it, but it was a very steep slope downhill in my liking of that game. I also took a look at Outnumbered. This is a re-implementation of City of Zombies, which is a math game. And I really, really liked this one. I came in at a 7.5. Very good implementation of a game I already knew I liked. Definitely one that I'd say check out. Finally, Explorers. Explorers is a roll and write or a flip and write game. I came in at an 8 with this game. Again, really liked it. I think that it didn't bring necessarily anything new to the table, but it definitely took everything that I already knew I liked and put it in one very sleek package for a roll and write. So Explorers came in at 8. That's it for me.
Hi, I'm Wendy Yee, and this week I'm going to tell you about what I reviewed. So let's start with the Little Flower Shop dice game. Oh, I don't even know if this is a game. Like it's so sad that I feel like it's missing so much of what it could have been. So I gave this a 3. You'll have to watch my review of Tom. But yeah, disappointing indeed. Wormholes, I gave a 6. I liked so much about what was going on with Wormholes. We were jumping around this board in space, adding all these wormholes, using other people's positive interaction. But at the end of the day, it is super lucky. It just all depends on what cards you draw and whether or not you already have wormholes to those locations and how easy it is to get there. So it's got good potential strategy, but the scoring was very uninteresting because of the level of luck. Stroganov, I gave an 8. I really enjoyed a lot of what's going on here. It is a really thinky Euro. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's tons of resources and there's different strategies. So there's a lot to explore and I'm excited to continue to explore it. And then finally I gave Akropolis an 8.5. I really enjoy this tile laying. It's got a 3-dimensional level. There's different ways that the color and the little tiles score, and so you're trying to build this perfect little city. And there's cool multipliers, and so I'm just really excited to continue to play this kind of thinky filler game. So that's what I reviewed this week. Let's see what's next.
This week I reviewed Canvas. It's got these amazing see-through cards that allow you to create artworks that are going to score points across various objectives. It's brilliant fun, brilliant to look at, and I gave it 8 out of 10.
Hey there everybody, it's Mike Dilisio, and let's talk about the week that was. First off, Chris and I did a video that we called the Oink Games Extravaganza, and in that video we reviewed 2 of their newest games, there being Oink Games, the publisher, and an expansion for one of their games. If you're interested in all the scores, check out that video. Also, as a part of a number of other videos and other reviews, first off was Explorers. Explorers is a flip and write game from Phil Walker Harding, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's a perfectly fine game, but I didn't give it a recommendation because ultimately I feel like it is relatively forgettable, very hard to stand out in such a crowded genre. In that review, I named off, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 other games very similar that I would rather play. So a fine game, but not really enough to get that recommendation. Then I reviewed Don't Llama Dice. This is a dice version somewhat of a card game called Llama from designer Reiner Knizia. I prefer this dice version actually. I feel like for very few more rules, you have a lot more decisions. It still has a really nice push your luck element to it. I like it. I also reviewed Stroganov as part of a group review, and I was focusing on the solo aspect of the game. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I like it a lot. I feel like the card-based AI system is very clever. It simulates a 2-player game very well. There are some component issues. There are some iconography issues. The setup and teardown is a bit of a bear. But overall, I do like it quite a bit. Then I also, in the context of a group review, reviewed the solo variant for Keystone North America, which I gave an 8 out of 10. This is a solo variant that allows you to play through a series of assignments, I believe they call them, but they really are individual puzzles where you're playing the core game of Keystone, but you have some very specific setup, maybe some specific powers that are in play, or a specific endgame scoring card that's in play, maybe some special rules that you have to work around that might constrain or change some of your decisions. Really, really clever solo puzzle game. I like Keystone North America a lot, 8 out of 10. Also, I was part of a top 10 games that should have been an email. Basically, games that generally are good in most cases, but are just too long. So if you're interested in that, check it out. And then I did another episode of the Dilisio Factor, where it's a live stream where I play through a solo board game. And this week I had played through Trekking Through History. So if you want to check out that game and its solo variant, take a look at that video. All right, well, that's it for me this week. Let's keep it moving.
Okay, so for me, some pretty low reviews this week, actually. We took a look at Keystone North America. Beautiful game. Love the concept of it. But with multiple players, it doesn't work. It's too chaotic. 4 out of 10. Little Flower Shop dice game. Oh, I wanted to like this game. Really neat component. Mechanisms, roll dice and keep them like Dice Town. But it just is too random. Another 4 out of 10. Stroganov. I liked it the least of everybody. There's a lot of interesting concepts, but the analysis paralysis and the extreme downtime and the fiddly nature of the game made it a 5 out of 10 for me. Junior Detective. A cool deduction game for kids. Straight up ruined by roll and move. 5 out of 10. Zillionaires. This is a reworking of the Game of 49. This one has fallen for me a bit. I'm giving this one a 6. It's fine. It's amusing if you get into it, a party game. But you can have not particularly fun games with it. It's a little volatile in that regard. So 6 out of 10. Akropolis. This is a tile-laying game. Some interesting ideas. Drafting tiles, building a city. But it just doesn't stand up as strong for me. It feels a little derivative. 6 out of 10. Wormholes. Another 6 out of 10. I love the idea of Wormholes. It's fun. The jumping around in Wormholes, great mechanism, ends fast, but it's too random. And because of that, I just don't like it as much. Stars of Akarios. This one is 6, and oh man, I want to give this one a much higher score. There's just too much in the game. There's too much. It's Gloomhaven and Seventh Continent and X-Wing. The X-Wing / Gloomhaven parts of it work really well, and I like them, but there's still a few problems. The enemies are kind of dumb. It's so close though, so close. Maybe I should say a 6.5 for that one. Scooby-Doo the board game. Very light, cooperative game. Does the Scooby-Doo license fine, and I enjoy the components. 7 out of 10. Sorcerer's Arena, Turning the Tide, a new expansion for Disney Sorcerer's Arena, with 3 new characters, all Oceano. We got Stitch, we got the bad guy from Pirates of the Caribbean, and we have the hero of... I don't know. There's 3 more characters in the game. Moana. I don't know why I couldn't remember Moana's name. Anyhow, fun characters, adds more stuff. Circadians First Light. I did a comparison between this and the original Circadians, the 2nd edition, and it's kind of the same thing, slightly bigger, slightly nicer. But it's still a fun game, 8 out of 10. Summoner Wars. Me and Roy took a look at the new expansions. We have the fungal dwarves and the grannies. They're not called the grannies. There's like something ancients. But you know what? They're just both really fun. A little bit more advanced than the other factions, but I like them a lot. 9 out of 10. And Clank Catacombs, oh my word, so much fun. Better than Clank, actually. Replaces Clank for me. A great version that adds a really strong exploration feel to Clank. 9 out of 10. I also talked about my top 10 AEG games. We did our top 10 games that should have been an email. I did another shelf review. I did a Kickstarter look back, and then all our normal videos that we do over the course of a week, our board game breakfast, our crowd surfing, and more. Lots of videos. Thank you all for watching, but until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and you've been watching Week in Review on the Dice Tower.